We know we had to go on the road last year, but I promise you next year we'll be at home, and we're going for that three-peat, so don't forget it. Don't get it twisted. We're doing it. 3 times, first time in NFL history, we doing it.
That's pretty close to a guarantee from Patrick Mahomes. And as I said earlier this week, Pat Riley's going to be very happy if it's pulled off because he holds the trademark that he first registered back in the late 80s and has renewed since then and has made money when teams have won 3 in a row and used the term three-peat on merchandise. That's the thing that really didn't crystallize until the Chiefs won the second one. They now are in position where all they have to do, not that I'm suggesting it's easy, but all they have to do is win one Super Bowl to do the thing that no one has ever done before. And it gives them a renewed focus, a reason not to be complacent, a reason not to rest on their laurels, and a reason to address their flaws. That's what dawned on me earlier this week, Myles. They're going to be better next year.
Yes.
Because that guy who was just talking at the parade before things went haywire at the rally in Kansas City, that guy is going to be even more determined than he's ever been, because this is his chance to do something no one has ever done. And kind of like with Kyle Shanahan and his defense, like it's kind of a rough year, had to deal with a lot of crap, had to constantly worry about this, that, and the other thing. I'm going to do it this year without having to worry about it. I could see Mahomes say, I'm going to go meet with any receiver you're thinking about signing or drafting. I'm going to go throw with him. I'm going to give you I'm going to fully commit myself to making sure we've addressed our flaws on the roster and we're ready to go. And we're not going to be the 3rd seed. That was part of what he said, too. They're not going on the road next year. He's not only committing to winning the Super Bowl, he's committing to be the 1 seed in the AFC. And I've learned years ago not to doubt this guy because he doesn't write checks he can't cash.
He doesn't. Well, he said basically the same thing last year, at the parade. He was a little bit more sauced, but he basically said, hey, we're going to go back to back. What did they do? They went back to back. And I think you're right. Look, this team is going to be better next year. Brett Veach has done a great job every year, basically, of addressing what was the flaw the year before in the next season, right? After they lost to the Bucs in the 2020 Super Bowl, what did they do? Well, they went out, they fixed the offensive line, right? You bring in Joe Thuney, right? You draft Creed Humphrey. You do all kinds of things to make sure that offensive line is solidified. This year, they didn't necessarily do those kinds of things on offense, but once you see how unreliable that receiving core was, you think that they're going to go into next year and not have 1 to 2 premium new players at receiver? I think we got another thing coming, right? That's the thing that Brett Veach has done. So, you talked about Mahomes going out, throwing with different guys, That's what he did with Rice last year in the pre-draft process. And Rashee Rice had a very, very, very good year when it went in terms of receivers who are rookies in an Andy Reid system. They don't usually perform to the extent that Rashee Rice did, which I thought was very interesting, just over the course of the season, and talking to him after the game, and I was kind of like, when did you realize what the standard was? And he talked about, I was throwing up on the first day of training camp because it was so difficult, right? And Andy Reid does have notoriously difficult training camp practices. And he said, once we got in there, week 1, week 2, and it's like, I caught a few passes. It's like, okay, I can do this. But then you see the level of work that it takes within that building, that strong Chiefs culture. That's really when you understand it. So I don't know if it had to do with throwing with Mahomes before the draft ever happened or whatever, but the thought that the Chiefs are going to be the same, especially on offense next year, I don't think so. They're going to do things to improve.
Oh, absolutely. And you're not going to have these issues with drops. Kadarius Toney will not be a Chief. I am very confident of that. I haven't heard it, but I have eyes and I have ears and I have some reasonable degree of common sense to interpret what's gone on since he had his latest drop week 15 against the Patriots, and we never saw him again for the rest of the season. There will be players there on whom Patrick Mahomes can rely. And Sims and I were joking about this earlier in the week because of some of the stuff Tyreek Hill's been tweeting. I bet he'd like to go back. If you attached him to a polygraph machine, I bet he'd like to go back. And he'd take back all that stuff he said about Patrick Mahomes not being the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. I bet he'd like to go back. He's had his time in Miami, and he's seen how hard it is with that team to get past the wild card round. And in the 2 years he's been gone, they've won 2 Super Bowls. I don't think they want him back, but I bet he'd like to go back. And I don't know if the Dolphins want to move on from him, but, no. If he really wanted out, what's Mike McDaniel going to do? Mike McDaniel seems like an I want volunteers, not hostages guy, right? He doesn't want guys there who are going to disrupt the mood, disrupt the vibe, be
Vic
unhappy.
Fangio.
But I don't. Yeah, exactly. Fangio wants out, they let him go. Tyreek wants out, maybe they let him go. I don't know that he does. I just think that, he's got to be thinking they're going to do something special this year, and I'd like to be part of that. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes either if I'm Tyreek Hill. I suppose yesterday, too, I didn't hear this, but Mahomes was saying, nobody believed in this. I mean, come on, Patrick, I'm kind of hurt. I'm one of your biggest fans. I believed in you wire to wire. I picked you to win the Super Bowl. I think I picked the Chiefs. Pete has all the statistics. I think I picked the Chiefs to win pretty much every week of the season. I picked them to win every playoff game. I picked them to beat the Dolphins. I picked them to beat the Bills. I picked them to beat the Ravens. And I picked them to beat the 49ers. So I guess I'm nobody. I guess we finally have proven I am nobody because nobody did believe in the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, nobody believed in the Chiefs. La, la, la. The thing he said, I was like, it said we couldn't win on the road. I was like, it was more that they said that, you hadn't won on the road and he had not in the playoffs, obviously. And then he went on the road and he did it. I mean, he hadn't won on the road because they hadn't played a game on the road. Right. So it's, like you did it. Great. And nobody is going to doubt you anymore, but at least he didn't, just say that you were a florist or something. That's positive.
That's true.
Yeah.
And Pete is all over it. I picked against the Chiefs twice in 2023. Once against the Bills. And I was right on that one, thanks to Kadarius Toney. Yeah. And I picked the Chargers in the meaningless Week 18 game that the Chiefs didn't need and didn't play Patrick Mahomes in. So I only picked against Patrick Mahomes once all year against Buffalo, and I got that one right. Did they even win the Week 18 game? I think they did.
They did.
I think they did. Didn't the Chargers miss a field goal late or something like that? Yeah. Okay. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.